The lovely vocals of Sarah from Vancouver band The Wells there can only mean one thing. It's time for the latest episode of the Away From the Numbers podcast. I'm your host, Michael McCall, and I'm joined as always by my wonderful bearded co-host, Steve Pander.
Hello, everybody in Whitecaps land.
We've reached episode 14. It's kind of a pity that we hadn't held back one so that this would be our special 13th episode, because 13 seems to be the Whitecaps' lucky number.
Yeah, they have beaten the Seattle Sounders for the first time and picked up their first Cascadian win. So it's a fantastic
13 games it's taken them to do that.
Yeah.
So as you can tell, we're in a pretty good mood here at BC Place this evening. It's going to be a fun podcast, a really enjoyable one after a Cascadia derby. We're kind of not used to that.
Woohoo!
So, Steve, what would you say, just your overall thoughts on the game?
It was a good game overall, but there were a lot of, obviously a lot of scary moments, especially in the first half. The Kenny Miller goal at the beginning was huge.
It was a goal that settled the nerves.
Yeah.
You could kind of feel the relief just going all round BC Place, and beautiful finish. Absolutely great finish by Miller.
And Herzog delivered a great pass.
Yeah, I have to say, I was surprised to see Herzog in the starting lineup. I thought he was pretty ineffectual against Kansas City, and I really thought we were going to see Kakutamani getting the run out. But Herzog, he wasn't really playing out in the right. He was covering all over the pitch. We saw him in the middle a lot. He was playing on both wings. He put in a lot of legwork.
I think he basically it was similar play the way Tiber plays all over the pitch too, as well. So I guess he was playing exactly that role. He was making runs on the left side, on the right side, down the middle, and even playing a little deep sometimes too in the midfield to have that extra guy in the midfield to counteract their play in the midfield, which dominated the first half.
It was great to get the win. I have to say though, I was so glad that the halftime whistle came. I was just wanting that to come so badly, because the feeling was just that Seattle were going to find a way through any minute and just tie the game up. And I think the second goal was always going to be vital. I had tweeted out that if the Whitecaps get the second goal, they're going to go on and win it. But if Seattle were to get the second goal, I really think they would have come and taken the 3 points away from this.
Yeah, that first half, the midfield was just giving up so many through balls. It was like basically Swiss cheese essentially. They were just. I don't know if it was the backline's fault or the midfield's fault. I'm probably going to put it more on the midfield for not closing down and closing down the lanes.
I was going to ask you about the midfield. They kind of felt a bit invisible again. They really failed to stamp their authority in the game. There just seemed to be no bite out there.
And that's with Rio Coker also in there.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. But the second half was a huge turnaround.
Yeah. I mean, whatever Rennie said to them at half time, they came out and the pressure was off right away. They were playing more in the Seattle half, and I don't know whether Rennie just basically said to them, look, you need to take the pressure off the defence, get the ball to the other end of the pitch, because that's the best form of defence has been always to
when
attack.
Seattle had chances, they had to go wide. They couldn't even go down the middle anymore. So it was very. I think they just basically played way tighter in the midfield and allowed Seattle to go wide, and their crosses were easily caught by Knighton, who we should mention. We shouldn't wait too long to mention his name, because he was absolutely brilliant today.
I was keeping him for a special mention. Brad Knighton, that is the best that we've probably ever seen him play in a Whitecap shirt. In the post-game, which we'll play a little bit of later on, he said that's the best that he's ever played. He thinks it's the best game he's ever had.
Yeah, and he definitely, obviously, there's no doubt in my mind, or your mind, or it should be anybody's mind, that he's going to start next week against Chicago.
Yeah, it's got to the stage, like, so many of the media just want to play up the fact that, there's a goalkeeper controversy. It's like, the Canucks have got rid of theirs now, let's just bring it to the Whitecaps.
Yeah, it's typical Vancouver media who looks for controversy even when the Whitecaps are playing well and winning games. They're like unbeaten in 5 now, and they've only had 1 loss in their last 9 games. So
and
it's a huge
2 clean sheets for Knighton
and
as well.
out of the last 3 games, and 1 goal only allowed against Kansas City, which was surprising too.
And he didn't have a chance with that one. But I thought Knighton in that first half, that is what you need from a goalkeeper if you're going to be team in contention of being deep in the playoffs and even winning the title. You need to have a goalkeeper that's going to come up with the huge saves. And we've seen Cannon do it. He saved us so many points this year and last year with some really great last-ditch heroics. But I'm not sure that we've seen a keeper in our whole MLS era that's had a whole half like that, where it's save after save after save. And that double one that he produced from, it was Johnson to start with,
Johnson and Martins,
with the rebound. That was one of the game changers.
Yeah.
And I think one of the other huge aspects in the first half was that tackle that Brad Rusin did, when Brad Evans sent the ball over to Martins again, and it looked like he was going to get the bounce in his favour and just bury it past Knighton, and then Rusin was there with an absolutely fantastic tackle.
Yeah, and he made it look easy too. He even took down Martins a little bit, hurt him a little bit. He definitely hurt him because it was. I don't think that was any kind of theatrics there, because he definitely got contact on his leg, but it was definitely all ball first.
And we've been really critical of the defence in podcasts in the last few weeks, so we have to give credit where credit's due. That was a top defensive performance out there tonight. Leveron and Rusin are playing really well together. I'm really surprised by that, because I thought they would have problems, because Rusin struggled a bit this season. Leveron's had so many different partners now. I mean, you'd think he was like a girl from Cowdenbeath.
I'd never been there. I don't know what you're talking about. But that's another story. But I think the huge thing about Rusin is possibly, in the last two games especially, he's playing beside top veterans. Who first Nigel Reo-Coker, and then he played with YP Lee today, and that maybe has a little bit of difference, because when he was struggling, he's playing alongside Alain Rochat mostly, and Alain Rochat was struggling as well, so that might have had a little bit to do with what Rusin was going through.
I thought Lee had quite a quiet game tonight. Maybe I was just not noticing what he was doing, but it felt that he just wasn't his impactful self.
No, he barely went forward. I think it was his job today to shut down whatever was coming down that left side for Seattle. And I think also because you're not always sure of what Corey Herzog is capable of doing defensively, because he is really an target striker. He's not really a wing player, so defensively he's not 100% as sure. So I think they were told to keep him back, and that's why I think even in the last game, Nigel Reo-Coker really didn't go up too much either. I don't recall him making many plays going forward.
No, not really. And Harvey today, he looked better. He wasn't as out of position as much. There was a couple of times that he kind of was just playing a little bit too far forward. But when I saw the lineup, I kind of feared for the worst. It just did not look a lineup that was going to be able to deal with that Seattle attack and the pace that they can bring and the danger that they can bring. And I have to say, hats off to Martin Rennie. He nailed it. I was surprised to see Davidson starting at home. I guess because of the unfamiliarity with those central pairing, that he kind of added something to that.
Yeah.
And he had another good game.
Yeah, it was a solid game. No major mistakes or anything like that. Although you'd have to really look at the tape to see if he was the cause of some of those through balls in the first half. It's hard to tell. You have to watch the game over again and look at it more carefully.
So that's our brief thoughts on the game. Let's hear now from the two coaches. We'll hear first from Seattle coach Sigi Schmid. Bit of a hard interview to hear because the music was blaring out from BC Place as everyone was filing out. He didn't go into the media room, he did it outside the Sounders dressing room, so it's quite loud. And then after that we'll hear what Martin Rennie thought.
We gave up a goal early. Credit to them for finishing that. We had opportunities. We should have finished some of those opportunities. Knighton came up with some big saves for them in goal to keep them in it. And then obviously the last 10 minutes of the game, we're pushing forward trying to get it, and that's probably when they got the majority of their shots at that point on. But I'm not displeased with what we created and how we played.
Was that the best goalkeeping performance against you this season, you think?
Yeah, probably. You always remember the last one, so this is the one obviously that we'll remember. But our finishing need to be a little bit sharper, and then we don't make the goalkeeper look as good.
How much do you put on him, and how much do you put on yourself in those saves?
He came up with some big saves. He reacted well to the one off the corner from Zach. He got his toe on the other one. So he gets to that. But credit to him.
This is your first loss to Vancouver. I guess you've trailed in like 3 other games to them, but have been able to come back. Is it
Yeah, and even at 2-0, we felt we'd be capable of coming back. You know, for sure at 1-0, we felt we could come back, and even at 2, we felt capable of coming back. But you know, I mean, all good things come to an end, and so obviously it came to an end today.
Yeah, I mean, what an exciting game it was, and an exciting night. As soon as came out for the start of the game, the stadium was already full, and the atmosphere, I've never seen anything like it in BC Place, and the players responded really well to it. I'm really pleased for them to get that result tonight. It's been disappointing for us not to have beaten Seattle up until now, but we've been playing really well recently. We've been getting good results, we've been scoring goals, and tonight we defended well as well, and I think Brad Knighton came up with a couple of really important and big saves that were crucial in the game. I thought we started the game really well for the first 20 minutes, and then our pressure dropped a little bit, and that was when Seattle had some chances. But in the second half, I thought we managed to keep that pressure up much better, and you know, we got the goal from Darren, which made it, you know, really sealed the game for us, and we were quite comfortable in the end. So it's a huge win. It's one that we really wanted to give to our fans. It's been disappointing when we've not won these games before. We've tied a lot, we've lost a couple, but tonight we got that win, and I think it's it's a big thing for the club, and it's a thank you hopefully to all the people in the club who worked so hard to move this club forward, and for the people in the city who, you know, this club means so much to. It's a big night.
So Martin Rennie obviously quite cock a hoop there after getting his and the Whitecaps' first Cascadia Cup win in the MLS era. Now, we've talked a little bit about some of the performances that were there tonight. Let's talk about the strikers. Whitecaps now 29 goals for the season, second highest in MLS, just 1 goal behind the Montreal Impact, tied with a couple of other clubs. What I'm liking about it, and it's something that Kenny Miller alluded to a couple of weeks ago, doesn't matter if Miller's not getting a goal, Camilo's scoring. If Camilo's not getting a goal, Tybert was scoring or providing an assist, or Miller was getting the goal. And then tonight Darren Mattocks came on and got the goal. So they're all helping each other out, they're working as a team, and they're sharing the goals around, and they're doing really well. It's something that we felt was coming, because at the start of the season we were creating so many chances, and we kept saying week in, week out, one of these days we're going to start taking these chances, and that's happening now.
Yeah.
Still not 100% perfect, but it's very pleasing to see.
Well, they didn't get very many shots today, and that's the thing, they took advantage of what the shots they got. So it was definitely a huge thing for them. The big thing for the Whitecaps, I feel, not only are they getting the goals, but like we said before, they're tightening up defensively. And it's a huge thing tonight. The back line is playing well, no matter who's in the back line, it seems like. If they can just shore up that midfield somehow, and like you said, put a stamp on it, on the game, I think this could be a very big upswing for the Whitecaps. I don't want to talk too much into the future, but they are playing really well right now, and almost hitting on all facets of the game.
Yeah, it's not. I was going to say it's enjoyable to watch. Sometimes it's not, because like tonight was really nerve-wracking. I have to say I enjoyed the win.
Yeah.
I can't say I enjoyed watching that.
I think it was more nerve-wracking because of who we're playing too.
I
think if it was a non-Cascadia team, a non-Derby team, I think it would be a little bit more enjoyable throughout the whole thing.
Also, you've always got the back of your mind. You're just waiting for one of these defensive lapses to come, and that's the thing now. Like at the start of the season, we made mistakes defensively. We were punished. Recently, we've been making some mistakes defensively. We've not been getting punished. We weren't getting some breaks going for us, slicing balls into our own net. Tonight, Brad Rusin intercepted that cross from Nagel, sliced it towards goal. Instead of it flying in like we would have seen at the start of the season, crashed off the post. So you always say that breaks even themselves out over the course of the season, but it's really helping the Whitecaps now. They're playing with such confidence just now as well, that is also a huge part of it. Even when they're not playing great, they have the self-belief that they can come and do this, and it's working. They're playing fantastic. And talking of confidence, Darren Mattocks came off the bench tonight. As everyone that's listened to this podcast knows, I've been trying to get him traded for months now.
Well, in fact, after he scored the goal, you wanted him traded because he was at a high value at that point.
Well, he's at a high value again, so let's just get on the phone and see what we can do. But in all seriousness, it was a huge relief for him. And you saw it, like as he just collapsed on the ground and Kenny Miller pounced on him, the relief of everyone that he finally got a goal. Yeah. And then the way he played after that
and then he just kept going for the goals. He kept wanting to more and more at that point, so that's a huge thing for him. Yeah.
And the way he took it, like when I first saw it, I thought he had possibly like used his arm to bring it down. I thought it was like a Portland thing all over again. But then when you watch the replay, brilliant control. He brings it down with his shoulder, lets it bounce, buries it. That's the Darren Mattocks that we saw finishing last year. And it's going to be interesting now to see how he moves forward with that, because he's not going to be a starter unless, and this is something that I've been surprised that Martin Rennie hasn't done. Can we look at playing Mattocks out wide on the wing? Can we turn him into a right winger? Fill the role that Tybert's been doing, see if he can link up with Camilo and Miller, because that could be an exciting front three.
The only problem is that I think the one drawback that would be is his defensive ability. Will he track back? Like a lot of people have said, he doesn't work as hard. So
yeah.
I think that's the one thing that probably is the negative. Also, he is not much of a provider like Tybert is. So I think that would be another thing. He's more of a straight line guy. Like when Kofi flicked that goal kick off and
lovely, like
perfectly headed it over.
Should actually come to think of it, like we should really ask Gerson after the game. Did he mean it? Did he know that that's where Mattocks was, or was it just like a jump and hope that he flicked it onto someone?
It felt like he meant it,
yeah,
because the way that his head moved. Because if he was just going to want to bring it down, he would have just brought it down. But he kind of like his head like shot that way. So I think it was meant to be.
And we were talking earlier about the fantastic man of the match performance from Brad Knighton. He gets an assist on that.
Yeah, he got an assist, and that's where his like the big difference. Obviously, I don't know how Oosted's goal kicks are, but the Cannon to Knighton goal kicks, like Knighton's distribution is much better than Cannon's, and that's where a huge factor is, because he nailed that. That was quite a distance on the goal kick, and it was nice and streamlined, but right into Kofi, and Kofi was able to get a head on it.
And Knighton said afterwards that it's his first assist since high school. Yeah. And since we're talking about what Knighton said afterwards, let's hear from Brad Knighton now in the locker room, and we'll also hear from tonight's goal scorers, Kenny Miller and Darren Mattocks.
Brad, that was a big win for the team and a big win for the fans tonight.
Yeah, obviously, we've been waiting for that for a long time here in Vancouver, and lucky number 13 happened to be our ticket tonight.
So what does your second shutout mean to you?
It's just another step in the right direction for us. I don't really care about the shutouts as long as we're winning games. That's what I'm in there for, and to make saves and get us points and move up the table, and hoping to continue to do that.
Where does this rank in terms of performances?
That's the best game I've ever played, by far, hands down.
How motivated were you coming into this game?
I'm motivated every game. You don't want to be dropped from a team, and it's my job to put in performances like that to make him think twice about taking me out of the lineup. And obviously it's been nice having him here, because it's going to push me and make me better, and that's what you want at any position. You want competition at every spot, and bringing David in is going to do that. And what you've seen from the 2 weeks that he's been here, it's changed my mentality, and this is probably the best I've ever played.
Brad, so just to clarify what you're saying earlier, you're saying what you've seen out of David in training has changed your mentality? Is that what you were saying? Yeah, obviously all the press that you guys do about this guy coming in and he's eligible to play on the 9th. I mean, obviously that's a motivating factor, because I've been here and I've gotten my run of games, and it's up to me, and he's got to come take it out of my hands. It's going to make for a great battle, and it's something that I think Martin wants at every position, not just the goalkeeping position. You don't want your spot having to look over your shoulder and know that someone's competing there, and if you're not getting the job done, he's going to put someone in, and that's competitiveness, and that's professional sports at any level, whether it be NASL or USL or the NFL or the CFL. There's going to be competition at every single spot, and it's up to you to maintain your spot and show you deserve to be in there, and that's what I'm doing.
What did that assist mean to you, Brad?
It's hadn't had one since high school, so it was quite nice. But yeah, it's like I said, it's obviously it's one I'll live to tell my kids about. And unfortunately, my wife and daughter are back in North Carolina right now, but I know they stayed up and saw the game, and my phone's been blowing up with text messages. So looking forward to seeing them in a couple weeks. But this really means a lot to me.
Can you just talk how important that win was for the team and the fans?
Yeah, it's massive. Obviously the first win against Seattle. It's been a long time coming. Delighted for the players, the coaches, and the fans. It's been a big result for the club, and more importantly, it's another 3 points for us that keeps Seattle behind us a few points, and hopefully cements us in that playoff position.
Can you use a bit more competition at the goalkeeper
coach position, but what did you see from Brad Knighton?
Yeah, well, he's made, 8, 9, 10 saves tonight. All honesty, all saves I would expect him to make. That's why he's there. But yeah, he's had a fantastic night and a worthy man of the match, because they did have a lot of opportunities then, but he kept producing save after save and keeping them at bay. So yeah, we're delighted with the win and also the clean sheet as well.
You've scored a lot of derby goals in your career. Where does that one rank for you?
Yeah, well, I think the importance it is for the club. It's a big goal, and obviously it gave us the start that we've not had for a while. We've had an early lead, and I think you've seen in our play for the first 20-25 minutes it really settled us, and we passed it about well. And it was an important goal in the sense that it did kind of relax us a little bit, because at the start of a derby game it can always be kind of hectic, so it did kind of settle us down a little bit.
Kenny, you looked about as happy as anyone for Darren there after the goal.
Yeah, delighted for him. It's been a hard few months for him. He's obviously found himself out of the team, and after the season he had last year, I'm sure he was expecting it to be a lot different this year, but the form of Camillo has definitely been a plus for the team, but it's obviously in Darren's case he's found himself with it. So yeah, delighted for him to come on and get a goal, and he could have had a few more at the end there, but we've seen in flashes now this season what Darren can bring, and the electric pace that he's got allowed him to get into the positions tonight to have 2, 3, 4 chances, and hopefully that'll kick him on and we can start seeing the best of him this year.
Darren coming off the bench scoring an important goal, can you tell us how it felt and describe the goal?
Really good. I mean, came in on taking off. Appreciation from the fans was really amazing, and I felt really good scoring a goal. I think it helped the team. I think we were leading 1-0, but I think getting a second goal eased some of the pressure off the teammates, so that's really good enough. So just got to keep working hard, and it's nice to get 3 points against Hill for the first time in the club history. So that's a really boost for the club.
Darren, how hard is it for you? How hard has it been to keep your confidence high while not playing in the last 2 months or so here?
It's a test of faith, I would say. I mean, the biggest thing for me is just keep working really hard, really humble. To be honest, it's really tough, but I know what I'm capable of doing. That's the biggest thing. I mean, it's going to take something very dramatically to get my confidence down, because I'm a really confident person. No one's going to ever take it from me. So, I mean, last couple of games I've just in training session, I've been working extremely hard, keeping my focus, keeping my discipline, and know that when I get my chance, I'm going to take it, and I did that tonight.
Just talk us through your goal.
I mean, I saw Brad, he make a really long punt, and I saw Gersh went up in the air, so I mean, this is definitely going to be a flick on, and there's no one in this league going to catch me coming in full speed, to be honest. So when I saw the opportunity, I just grabbed it with both hands and putting the ball in the back of the net.
I have to say, walking into the dressing room tonight after the experience of walking into the dressing room at Seattle just a month ago, like chalk and cheese.
Or Knighton and Darren.
Oh. After the loss in Seattle and the way that it played out, when you walked into the Caps dressing room, the players, they were just all down, they were completely gutted. Nigel Reo-Coker in particular, you just thought like the world had ended for him. Tonight you walk in and Nigel's laughing and joking and just like life and soul of the dressing room, and it's amazing what a few results can do, not just for team morale but for confidence and everything like that we've said. And what tonight's win did, don't want to just dismiss the fact that we got our first Cascadia Cup win, because it's important. Even more important from my point of view is we got 3 points against Western Conference rivals when other teams round about us are picking points up just now, and it is tighter than a gnat's chuff. Never really understood that expression, because I used to know a girl called Nat, and trust me, her chuff was not tight. But loose. That win takes the Whitecaps for now up to 4th place. LA can reclaim 4th place tomorrow, but let's not look at that. So we're in 4th place just now, 29 points from 18 games. Last year after 18 games we had 30 points, so just 1 point off the pace from that. Obviously we had that horrible mid-season shuffle and collapse, and that's not going to happen this year.
I don't see how it can happen unless there's a load of injuries or something like that. Well, and we've already suffered so many injuries too.
I think we've had our, hopefully, touch wood, we've had our injury crisis for now. Dallas seemed to be the team now, and you said this at the start of the season, and I doubted you.
No, when the summit was happening, we had the supporters podcast.
Oh,
That's what
I doubted you, and I apologise for that. You were right about Dallas. You said they couldn't keep it up, and they're starting to slip. Getting the odd point here and there, but now you're thinking, yeah, the Whitecaps are going to catch them and soon overtake them.
Yeah.
Both played 18 games as it stands tonight. Whitecaps just 2 points behind. I mean, you think it was something like, 16 or 18 points they were behind them at one point. That's phenomenal.
That's when they lost to them in Dallas. That's when they were behind. And the big thing is also I still personally think, and I'm not saying Vancouver's going to be able to keep up this pace either, but I still think Portland's not going to be able to keep up. I don't think RSL can keep it. I don't think there is a one dominant team in the West. I think they're all about the same level, and I think they're all going to be having their turns struggling. And like even Portland, when they even if they don't win, even when they don't win, they might not lose, but they drop points and they pick up those draws late in games when they collapse. Yeah. So they have their moments too. They just haven't had losses yet, and those might come down the road too.
For me, I still think the battle for the top spot, well, I say still think, I think I mentioned this before publicly, but we were talking about it off air. But I think we're looking at the top spot's going to be between Portland and Salt Lake. I can see them both just keeping things going to the end of the season, looking at the 1 and 2 spots there, and then the rest's totally up for grabs.
I think the Galaxy are I don't think they're very good at all. They might have a game here and there where they show their dominant self. Like against, I think, who did they play last? Columbus, when they had the 2 penalty kicks. Was that Columbus?
Yes.
Yeah.
They got out of jail in that one.
That was I don't think they deserved that win at all. So ever since they traded Mike McGee,
who we'll see in the next game here.
Yeah, ever since they traded him, they have not played as well. Because sure, if Landon Donovan reclaims his spot and starts playing the way he has in the past, it might turn around. But right now, it's not looking good for them.
The other thing as well is last season we had the collapse because we had the horrendous run on the road, which was ridiculous. And not just from a Whitecaps point of view, no team should have to play as many road games as the Whitecaps did in such a space of time last season. Don't care whether it's Seattle, Portland, DC, anyone, Toronto. No one should have to play that amount of road games. And if you look at our next fixtures, we're at home next Sunday against Chicago, away to LA, home to Philly, away to Portland, home to San Jose, away to Colorado, home to LA. So it's going back and forward, and that's how it should be. Yeah. Fixtures should be ideally 1 game at home, 1 game away, at the very most 2 away games or 2 home games in the trot.
And the thing is, they only have 1 more trip out east, and that's against Montreal in September. So they will be playing either centrally or on the West Coast for most of the season going forward.
Good pickup, actually. I never noticed that.
Yeah.
Which was the same case last season. Other clubs didn't have that. I know MLS seemed to want to have the fact that it's going to be like for the second half of the season, all East v East, West v West. But a lot of teams ended up having 2, 3, 4 games in the East in the second half of the season. And that's a very good spot because we should be at pretty much full strength. YP Lee
won't miss any more games. He might not even miss the Montreal game because obviously it's just a one-off game, right? So maybe he is able to play in September.
It's exciting times, and when you look at the table, Seattle, they've still got 2 games in hand of us, but now we have a 5-point gap, and that 5-point gap is looking so much better than it just looked a couple of weeks ago, where you thought, yeah, Seattle's going to win, they're going to overtake us. We're really looking at being in a battle for 5th, and even that's going to be tight. But then you've also got Colorado that seem to be keeping it up and they're keeping it going, and I've been really amazed by that. The win they had during the week, that 2-0 win, that was phenomenal against New York. That was just huge. And I didn't see that coming. New York were so poor in that game. And our last 2 games of the season are against Colorado, home and away first and then finish the season at home. Those could still be huge. I still think Colorado's going to drop off, but I'm a lot more optimistic than I've been in previous podcasts, which everyone will be glad to hear. I think we could be looking at 3rd, 4th or 5th. And I really think if we keep this going, we are going to be in the playoffs. It's just how deep we can go. I think we still need to make some additions in this summer transfer window to actually make any impact into the playoffs.
No, I 100% agree, and I've always thought that there is going to be a time when they get healthy, and when they finally get like a set 11, and obviously they won't have to worry about CONCACAF Champions League draining players out or whatever. So as soon as this Gold Cup is over, they get Russell Tiber back. By then, Andy O'Brien was fully fit, and the amazing recovery of Jay DeMerit. and which would allow, across my fingers, hopefully they put Johnny Leverone as a holding midfielder. That would be, outstanding. And I think they could be a team that could go very far this year.
Now, the transfer window is opening up on Tuesday. What do you think the key areas are? What do we need to add to that?
At this point, I think they need some kind of utility player. I don't know if that's a term in soccer or not, where you come from.
Yeah.
I think they need a guy that can cover fullback position and play a little bit of midfield as well, and even possibly be able to play a wing spot in there too. I know that's a lot of
asking for.
I know
a
it's
lot,
asking because
you're like some kind of superhuman.
I know because the thing is they're not going to be able to bring in too many. They're not going to be very much quantity. They're not going to be able to bring like 2 or 3 players. So I'm just labeling it as important. So important to number one, somebody that can play fullback, especially if YPL does take more games off, because he could take games off on the West Coast too. You never know.
True. I definitely want to have a left back.
Yeah. Oh, left back that can play right back. I think.
If we could find a player that can play both full pack positions, that would be like a huge find for us.
Yeah.
But with Demerit coming back, like you said, this talk he could even be back in August. I saw him tonight, and we just had a very quick chat as he walked past me, and he's walking just. You would not know he's had an injury.
Well, he was in the Southsiders, and he was actually jumping up, wasn't he, at one point?
Yeah, you don't want to see that.
The thing is, but he was jumping, and that's something that you're not supposed to be able to do with an Achilles injury.
It's been phenomenal. What I really think they could look at doing, though, is playing O'Brien and Demerit as the back two, with Leveron possibly as the holding midfielder in front of them.
Because his distribution is fantastic, and he can cover.
And as so much has been said before, he's like a left-sided player as well. So he can kind of maybe, if Harvey is having a weak game, drift over a little bit to the left and help out there as well.
Yeah.
So I think we could be looking at that. The article which I put up on AFTN on Friday night, I had my ideal starting 11, which actually had Ousted in goal. But if Brad keeps playing the way he is, either one of them I'd be happy with. But Brad, it's his position to lose. So I had Knighton or Ousted, then Lee, Demerit, O'Brien, Harvey, Leveron as the holding midfielder, then in front of that Kofi and Rio Coker, and then the front three of Tybert, Camilo and Miller. My worry with that is keeping all these guys healthy. We're asking a lot of Kenny Miller. He looked so tired, I felt, in the KC game. They risk running him into the ground.
Yeah.
But at the moment he's sprightly, he's full of it. He's the guy.
I don't think maybe you could look at the fixtures. I don't think they play very many midweek games in the summer. I'm not 100% positive.
No, like August, it's all Saturday games.
Yeah, so that should definitely take a little bit of the sting out of his legs, and he'll be able to play. I'm sure they'll give him like a 70 minutes here or something like that.
Well, I've been waiting for him to do that, but Camilo's the guy that they seem to be taking off, and Miller's the guy that's seeing the games out. But I mean, tonight he put in another great effort, lots of running. And you just saw the experience, and it's great. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with the Caps in the next few weeks, and let's just see what happens. Let's not count our chickens, but it's great win tonight, fantastic to see.
I'd rather you be more pessimistic, so it gives the Caps a chance to prove you wrong.
So, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the game, hope you enjoyed the podcast. I've been your host, Michael McCall. Steve, tell us where we can find you on Twitter.
You can find me at WhitecapsBeat. And I write for Prost America and Canadian Soccer News.
And you can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. You can drop us an email at aftncanada@hotmail.com. And of course, you can find our blog and all our writings on Canadian Soccer News by visiting aftn.ca. So we're going to wrap up from BC Place. Alarms going off in the background you can possibly hear. But the best thing to say about tonight is, apart from the 3 points, our first win against Cascadia opposition, and the Whitecaps have finally got that monkey off their back and sent that monkey up to heaven. Good night, everybody.